I'm Hana Jalloul, and I'm working in this parliament for the socialist group. I did a research on prevention of radicalization that leads to violence. I interviewed jihadists and radical Islamists for more than 10 years. And then I was Secretary of State for Migration.
The biggest topic that you fight here in the EU is the Palestine-Israel conflict.
My heart is where injustice is. What is happening in Gaza is completely an ethnic cleansing by the Israeli extreme right government, not by Israelis. The number of killed people in Gaza increased daily. Yesterday, for a dish of food, kids that were to ask for food, they were killed.
You have a lot of experience with terrorists. Let's talk about Hamas.
Hamas is a terrorist group. I say it once and 2,000 times. They need to free the hostages. And of course, they cannot ever govern in Gaza. Palestinians need a viable, legitimate political authority, in order to have the after government in Palestine.
Also, you assess the European response. What is our role?
We have an association agreement between the European Union and Israel. But the Article 2 of this agreement says that can be suspended or reviewed if they don't respect human rights. They are not respecting human rights in Gaza. So we have asked for the suspension of this association agreement.
But why it took so long?
This is the key question, my dear. People are afraid of the state of Israel because they use narratives that people are afraid of. Like, if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semite. This is the hugest lie in the world. This is not a religious problem. This is not a problem between Muslims and Jews. This is a political problem between Palestinians and Israelis. And this is how we have to see this conflict.
I don't think we can talk about Israel and Palestine without talking about the United States. What is the role of the United States in the conflict?
All the role is United States. They put the weapons, they put the money, and they put the decision making. And it is for sure that if the United States, that they are the greatest supporters of Israel, will pressure much more in stopping the war, this could be done.
First question, who are you?
Who am I? I'm Hana Jalloul Muro. I like to say Muro also because I'm the daughter of my mother. And I'm a Spanish, half Lebanese citizen that work in this parliament for the socialist group, the party of government in Spain, the party of Secretary General of my own party, and President of Spain, Pedro Sanchez. And I think I am a very normal person that I likes to talk with everybody and that thinks that to be humble is one of the most important things in life.
Do you think you are a very normal person?
I think that we should represent the desires and the needs of many people that we represent here. And you have to be as normal as they are in order to understand what are their needs. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we need to try to get into that. Yeah.
I agree 100%. But I want you to give me a bit more background because you are not only this, you did a lot of things in your life. Just be a brief explanation.
I want to know about my life maybe before that. Look, I studied political science and a doctorate, also international relations and international law. I did a research on prevention of radicalization that leads to violence. I interviewed jihadists and radical Islamists for more than 10 years in the Middle East, and North Africa. And I worked for the Commission in Lebanon when I was younger. I'm 47 now. I worked there for 30 years when I was 28 to 30s. And I began my young life when I was younger, of course, working in companies as interpreter, as a waitress.
This is your first mandate.
This is my first mandate, but I have been also... So when I was young, many jobs that were interesting, traveling all around the world with my Erasmus, waitress, which I love to be a waitress. It's a very, very nice work, and much more when you are young. And then, you commission companies. And then I was a Secretary of State for Migration, which I think I accomplished, for me, the most important thing of my political career, giving, papers and the stability to migrants and the rights to work in our country. So for me, that was an important accomplishment. Make people.
It was before this?
Before this. Secretary of State of Migration and Deputy in the Assembly of Madrid, Deputy of the National Congress, and then here as a member of European Parliament.
You like politics?
I do like. Well, I was raised in a house where my dad, is a very Nasserist, and he's Lebanese, so. We live also the experience of the war in Sabra Shatila. We had to flee the country. My dad was a doctor in Sabra Shatila camps. So he have always talked to us a lot on politics. He had also his political party in Lebanon, and always with friends to talk about politics at home, more than 50, 40 people every weekend. I used to travel a lot with him.
You grew up
I
in
grew
this
up
mentality and
like
culture
this.
of
Yes,
politics.
national liberation movements in Africa, Arab world, Pan-Arabism. This was my infancy with my dad, yeah.
And you think...
Until now, we are very close friends.
And now you can say that the biggest topic that you fight here in the EU is the Palestinian problem, Palestine-Israel conflict. You think this is where your heart is?
My heart is where injustice is, okay, in general. But now that you are concreting in Gaza and Palestine, of course, I'm a huge defender of the two-state solution, a huge defender of the self-determination of the Palestinians. What is happening in Gaza is completely an ethnic cleansing, and war crimes by the Israeli extreme right government, not by Israelis. I'm a great supporter of the Israeli society, of Israel as a country, of course. I have many friends that are fighting and suffering, and I'm very much supporting the families that are losing their hostages by Hamas, which we ask always for the liberation of the hostages. I think that the government is not helping at all, because he's not helping for that hostages to get back home, which are they to blame also, the government. But of course, I'm against, occupation, which it is illegal, as the ICJ and all the resolutions of UN said. Now they have approved 20 new colonies, illegal settlements, illegal in the West Bank. We need to battle this. We need to get back to the borders of 67, give a state to the Palestinians, and Israel is their state. It's as simple as that. End the occupation and everyone in their country with their borders. And everybody will be happy. And everybody even will sign the Abraham Accords. Let's go for peace, man. We need peace in the Middle East and, of course, stop, the killing in Gaza. That's for sure.
A lot of things to unpack here. What is happening recently? How do you see because recently things changed. They're a lot more aggressive in Israeli government. So what is the new change, and how also you assess the European response? Also, what is our role? We're here in the European Parliament.
From the Israeli part, there have not been any kind of change. The Netanyahu government is very aggressive in this policy, and his extreme right government into Gaza and the West Bank, annexation, demolitions of houses, settlements. This is their position. So these have not changed at all. They continue, and no, in fact, they are even more aggressive, because these new settlements they have approved are the biggest ones is at least 30 years ago. The number of killed people in Gaza increased daily. Yesterday, for a dish of food, people that were kids that were to ask for food, they were killed. Come on. They are dismantling the UN, the UNRWA. And look, I know I have to say the refugee camps a lot. I know how UNRWA works there. Many people do not know, because in Lebanon, we have many refugee camps also. Of UNRWA. They have...
Can you explain us what is this?
I'm going to do that. Whether you like UNRWA or you don't like it, they have a lot of experience in the infrastructure deployment. It means you go there, for example, for education, the schools and the material, and they are very organized. It's not that you come with an NGO. In fact, the Israelis are putting now a new agency, organization to deliver the food. And people are dying, are not delivering enough food, and they are not delivering even the humanitarian aid, because they don't know, because this needs an expertise. And United Nations have this expertise through UNRWA, and that have taken many years, I'm not saying other companies can work with UNRWA, but UNRWA is a must. And because they know how to, deploy the help in education, in healthcare systems, in everything, because they have all the infrastructure, and you need infrastructure settled on. For all this, for the delivery of humanitarian education aid, or in all senses, And then you were asking me about Europe. Europe is the one who is, it seems, that is beginning to change towards what is happening in Palestine, like UK with trade, cutting the trade ties. We in the European Union, through the Council, 17 out of 27 countries reviewing the association agreement based on Article 2, because they are related to human rights, because they are completely erasing human rights. Still lots of work to do. The Germans, for example, have not approved the revision of the association agreement, which is a huge mistake. But Germans continue to do mistakes in life, They continuously doing mistakes. And I have to criticize this position, because look, If we don't have an
Can you
integral
explain
position,
to everyone what it, because this stuff is a bit hardcore politics. This Article 2, these are explaining the commission. Explain a bit more simply for everyone to understand.
look, we have an association agreement between the European Union and Israel, okay, for years now. But the Article 2 of this agreement, that we are the ones who have made this association agreement with Israel, says that that it can be fulfilled, but there is a provision on Article 2 that can be suspended or reviewed if they don't respect human rights. They are not respecting human rights in Gaza. So we have asked for the suspension of this association agreement. We couldn't reach the suspension, but we got in the council the revision, at least, on this association agreement based on Article 2 because human rights are not being respected, as Article 2 says in this association agreement. This is the point now. It was approved by 17 out of 27, but still 10 countries did not
So it
approve.
needs to be approved by every country.
Yeah, but by now, it's a very important political message that 17 out of 27 countries, it is. We have never been there before. And now we have criticism, even the Chancellor in Germany, which is a good step, said that what is happening with humanitarian aid in Gaza is not positive and possible. So people are criticizing the position of Israel. These are positive moves that we need to address.
But why it took so long to develop this? Because this was from a long time ago.
This is the key question, my dear. Also, another thing I have to say that we are hoping that now in June, in the conference of the alliance in the United Nations, you know that mainly is where you have France, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Spain there. France and other countries can recognize Palestine. This might happen now within this month. We hope, inshallah, as we say in Arabic. It took so long because really it is a conflict that nobody really cares. And because people are afraid of the state of Israel, we don't know really why, because you can be friend of Israel but telling them the truth, and because they use narratives that people are afraid of. Like if you criticize Israel, you're anti-Semite. This is the hugest lie in the world, because Arabs are Semites as well as Jews. So if you are to be anti-Semite because you criticize Israel, Israelis are anti-Semite because they are killing Arabs in Palestine, which are Semites. It's a stupid narrative. And, or they kill us because we are Jews. No. This is not a religious problem. This is not a problem between Muslims and Jews. This is a political problem between Palestinians and Israelis. And this is how we have to see this conflict, And certainly we need to pressure for peace and security for Israel and Palestine. This is what we have to work on, and we need to pressure, and the international community should pressure. But if we are not gathering and united in denouncing injustice, then people will not take us as a legitimate actor. What is happening here? For example, my President Pedro Sanchez, is a very respected president in global South and in the Arab world. In fact, he was the only prime minister invited to the last summit of the Arab League in Iraq 2 weeks ago, because he had recognized the state of Palestine in the hardest moment. He took really a very serious stand on this. But if you have countries like we have member state, we couldn't even unite ourselves for one joint statement till 3 weeks ago. Thanks God, EPP, the left, the Sunday, we had a united statement on Gaza 3 weeks ago, but it took a long time to do that. So if we are not united in injustices, then, global South look at us, like with no respect. We cannot lose our legitimacy when we talk about democracy and human rights. We need to pressure on that.
Okay, let's talk about Hamas. You have a lot of experience with terrorists. You interviewed a lot of them. You did your
I don't know if that sounds good, but
so I want you to explain me the situation with Hamas in Palestine.
Well, I'm super, super critical of Hamas. And what happened 7th of October, it's a huge terrorist attack that never ever have to happen, never anymore. I've been in Nova Festival, I've been, in Niroth Oz, and I've been with the families, which I love and support, and I have friends there. And, to see more than 400 people killed only in Nova under 30 years, I mean, really, and that breaks your heart. This is not acceptable. And, Hamas is a terrorist group. I say it once and 2,000 times. They need to free the hostages. And of course, they cannot ever govern in Gaza, Palestinians need a viable, legitimate political authority, in order to have the after government in Palestine and in Gaza specifically. And
But how do we deal with Hamas?
Because you need governments that recognize each other. So Hamas have never recognized the authority of Israel, and this Israeli government don't respect the Palestinian rights and don't recognize Palestine as a state. So if you have two entities here do not recognize each other, this is government voted by the people, and this is a militia. You cannot compare also, because, it's not the same. Although Hamas was voted in 2005 to be in the government in Gaza, okay? So the issue is that we cannot have people in Israel and Palestine, a government at least that they don't recognize the right to exist of the other. This cannot be if we want to a state, and this is what we had to fight for. And there are many Israelis that believe in the two-state. There's a huge peace camp, Yair Golan, which we support. He's from the Democrats. He's talking about two-state solutions. He's complaining about what's going on in Gaza and in Palestine also, So there are people that like to live with. Nobody wants to live in fear and war. Nobody wants that except Netanyahu, but nobody wants that, because at the end of the day, people want peace. I've been I say this lately a lot. I've been in the Emirates 2 times in the last 3 months. They have the Abraham Accords. You see, there are a lot of Israelis. They're very happy there. And in peace, you see how they go and they live and they travel all around the world. And I think this is what we need in general. We need to work on the Abraham Process Accords in order to establish peace with the condition of the Palestinians to have their state. So Palestinians can have their state with 67 borders, and then, Abraham Accords right immediately with everyone. And everybody happy. Everybody happy.
Can you paint me the picture of, how this happens, how they make their own state? What are the steps to be taken for this?
The steps, first of all, ceasefire, entry of humanitarian aid, ending definitely the war, Israel withdrawing from the 67 borders, and dismantling all the settlements. Definitely dismantling all the settlements because all are illegal. Sometimes we talk about violent settlers. No, it's not about violent or not violent. Of course, violent are much worse, but they need to dismantle. Because they are not their land. Imagine someone comes to your house and throw you out from your house. And the harassment they suffer, they go to harass the Palestinians, their land, they remove their houses, they put their things out, they demolish their houses like in Masaferieta, you saw No Other Land. I brought here the director of No Other Land, both of them, Israeli Yuval and Palestinian Vassel, and you can see
very
it.
Beautiful documentary.
Yeah, but very, very tough documentary. You cannot but cry all the time because it's so unjust, so unfair. Yeah, so illegal, so illegitimate what's happening there. So their life is trying to build what the Israeli government are demolishing day by day. Psychologically, it's crazy. How can you live like this? This is how Palestinians live there. So I will dismantle all the illegal settlements, withdraw to the 67 borders, as the United Nations resolution do since 48, Claro, we are seeing ourselves now in a system where Israel is, is removing the credit of the UN. And I will say something very clear. They are trying to put the UN in a very difficult circumstance and said that it's not legitimate, or, the Secretary General Guterres is, persona non grata in Israel and all those things. But it is the United Nations in 48 who recognized the state of Israel. Israel only exists because it was recognized by United Nations in 48. So how can you destroy or want to destroy the entity that created you? How a big contradiction is that, It's crazy. What is happening in Israeli politics now is crazy, But we hope for the best because also I'm telling you, Israelis are suffering and we feel with them too. And we hope that they can have another government soon. You saw these ministers of extreme right saying they have to kill people in Palestine, Arabs. is really worrying in their side, and of course Hamas always. So, but we don't have to compare. All of them are bad, and I think we need to this. But definitely, what Hamas have done in October, 23, is something we cannot forgive, and we cannot allow never anymore.
I don't think we can talk about Israel and Palestine without talking about the United States. What is the role of the United States in the conflict?
It's all the role. They put the weapons, they put the money, and they put the decision making, and they put the political decisions on the table. All the role is United States. If United States withdraw their support, now that Trump went to the Middle East with a great message, because he went to Saudi first, which means how important the role that Saudi is playing in the area as a peacemaker, and it's important, because they are in the ceasefire, the first ceasefire in Gaza, in the formation of the government in Lebanon, stability in Syria.
Saudi Arabia is cool. They are cool.
They are doing a very good job right now. Yeah. And in fact, it's
in all the aspects, not only
Yeah. With everything now, how they are opening up with women. They have more in less than 5 years, 42% women force working, and everything is going in the world is going right now in that part of the world. And they are in the peace talks of Ukraine. So I think they're doing a pretty nice job. And the big political message of Trump was, first country I visit is going to be, Saudi. But he did not go to Israel, And there are some comments, that little bit tired of how Netanyahu is not hearing anyone, but anyway, they should be more strict. And it is for sure that if the United States, that they are the greatest supporters of Israel, will pressure much more in stopping the war, this could be done. I think that they should pressure also in the coming back of the hostages, ending the war and the coming back of the hostages home, because the families are suffering a lot.
I read a book from Professor Messheimer. It's about the Israel lobby in the United States that controls kind of the government of the United States. So you agree with this? That they have
but this is widely known. You have IPAC, you have, that's widely known, yeah. It's just to say, but
and it's crazy for me to, I'm from a next country, Cyprus. Cyprus and Israel are very close in Palestine. And to have a small country with 7 million Israelis, what is the population of Israel, control the biggest superpower in the world, which is the United States, it's a bit crazy to me. It's hard to understand.
Well, I have to say something in critical and in favor of this position. Jews are not to blame because they are very clever. I love this from Jews. I mean, I have many Jew friends.
I have a lot of friends that are smart.
They are super clever. They are super clever. And you have, you say, majority of Nobel Prizes in the world are Jews. So, sometimes people to say, look, if they are super clever, so they deserve to have many things because they own it. Yeah, and they owe it, is their right. So I recognize always this part of the brilliant brains they have. I think they are admirable. I really love it. I read a lot about this. But this is one thing. But that leads to the fact that they control many of the lobbies in the United States because, they have the biggest companies in money, because that's also due to the fact that they are very clever and successful in business, So this is a positive thing in the fact that, they are brilliant, but in the other hand, that control makes, the United States take less position on fair issues in the Middle East.
I will say one compliment. I like that you say both of the kind of sides. I notice in everything you said about the Israel attack, and you emphasize that about what happened on October 7. You say here that the Jews are amazing and smart and all this stuff. So I love that the fact that you are stating both of the opinions, and you are actually, I don't feel that this is your line. It sounds honest, what you're saying.
This is my line, and I have always been very open because I'm not scared of anyone. This is how I think. I don't
So
do things.
I appreciate
I
this.
say
It's
I don't do the
interesting.
things because people will tell me, no, you should be more that, because I am myself a very leftist person by nature, no, I don't say things because I think that others would like or what people wants to hear. I say what I think at any cost or any expense. This is good sometimes and this is bad sometimes, but I like to maintain la mesotes aristotelica, the medium exactly point of things, because this is where things in life are. They are not black and white. There are a lot of, different tones in between, and you have to position yourself sometimes in others. Look, I had to flee Charles Satilas. We were, living in Lebanon, bombings as refugees. So it would be very, very easy for me to hate Israelis, for example. That will be very easy. Lebanon have suffered a lot of the occupation in the south that I need to denounce here. Israel needs to withdraw from the south of Lebanon, although we are very happy with the ending of Hezbollah. I have to tell you this. They have destroyed the country. And there are another militia I don't believe we need to have any kind of militia, not Hamas, not Hezbollah, not the Houthis. But I have great friends in Israel. And it's important that you sit with them. And you hear a person who have been born in Israel after 67 or after 48, this person, these people, have born there. It's their country too. You need to listen other people. It's very important to sit, to dialogue, to talk, to understand. And you need to understand their position too. And their past have not been easy, because, the Holocaust is there. So they have also an admirable sense of community that not everybody has.
Yes.
And this is also coming because of their negative experience in the past. And you need to hear from them. That's very important. But this is one thing. And another thing is that you don't criticize the policies of the country, which are completely negative. And I'm telling you something. Netanyahu is not only killing Palestinians. He's destroying Israel. He's destroying Israel.
Israel's reputation as well.
Israel reputation, Israel, democracy, many things, so democratic values. So he's destroying also Israel. And I feel with many people that are not agreeing also with this kind of politics. So life is not black and white, It's like, do you like people to judge you? I guess no. I don't like people to judge me because people doesn't know all the dimensions of my life, and my points of view, and my personal issues, It's like you cannot judge people only when you see, but you need to know. We need to encourage people to understand, to know much more people, and to sit with other people, in order to understand how are things and why these things happen or what can happen on how our things are going on. This is the bad thing of the media, you portray issues and you have a lot of stereotypes and people think things are like this. It's not true. It's not true at all. And most of the cases, it doesn't represent what reality is. So we need to deconstruct the stereotypes and the reality. You need to sit and understand. Let's go to address the problem. And for that, you need to understand. Sit with people and talk.
Let's go. This was a very heavy topic. Let's go a bit on more light topic. Do you like your job here in the European Parliament?
I do. Actually, I do. A lot. I get to consensuate many policies with many political parties, to see a lot of life, political problems going on, other issues. For example, today we have a very interesting meeting on enlargement, which is very important for the EU. How are all the countries in Eastern Europe going, the process, the progress? I like the missions. I've been in Lebanon, Israel, and Saudi and UAE missions, which is very important. Seeing is believing. We need to promote these missions because we have a lot of MEPs. This is a critique, but this is how I am. That, take political decisions on things they do not know. So we need to promote, the knowledge on MEPs to take decisions when they have enough knowledge in order to take them. I'm very critical of that. So we need to be more,
But how do we do it? It's complicated because a lot of people think they know stuff, but they don't.
No, you need to specialize people. So for example, if you have some missions,
but
you need to send...
This is interesting. I think you are hitting a big problem because there is a lot of people in a critical position that they take decisions that they don't know.
I completely agree. And I'm very
so
critical of
how
that.
do we do this? Is interesting because they are elected by the people. So like
Yeah, but this is easy.
also for me, I don't know a lot of things, but I know about social media. I'm an expert in social media, so I can make policies about social media, maybe AI and things that I understand. So how do we make this across all the
That means
parts?
you're intelligent because you know that you know of something and you know to work on that thing. Okay, that's efficiency. So this is what we need in this parliament. We need people with some specialties in some commissions and for some trips. So when they come back of these trips, they have enough knowledge. Or if we want to specialize MEPs in some areas, we let them be specialized on that topics in that areas and let them travel and let them know and then take decision. It's about specializing people on certain topics on certain areas. You know, the world, geographical areas, you know. Not only the topic, but geographical.
And also specialized. One of the problem here, I was here. I'm 25 years old. I came here and
You're a kid.
I didn't know anything about this place, but I understood that I was not the only one. A lot of members, when they got elected for the first time, they had no clue how the EU
Well, but
functions.
if they are interesting to learn, welcome.
But the problem is that the parliament doesn't give you the opportunity to learn that much. You need to, like for example, all these missions and all this stuff. Yes, you have the opportunity. You can be better in specializing people and directing them to the right positions and all this stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. I
tend to disagree a little bit because it's always depending on the character and the wish of the person to learn. I mean, yes, you have opportunities here because you have many commissions. For example, I'm Vice President of the Foreign Affairs Commission and I am a member of International Commerce. You know, I'm in the DARP delegation. So if I'm international commerce, I need to understand everything on this. I need to study and I have the opportunities to attend commissions, to attend events. So then I can learn a lot and I am learning.
Say that you have the opportunities.
You
if you
have
want to,
certainly you have.
We don't need enough of the opportunities to learn. We just need the people that have the passion to learn.
Both things. I think it's bi-directional. You know,
the system you think is okay in providing the opportunities to learn.
Yes. The thing is that the system needs to be more efficient to locate the persons in order to put them in this area of knowledge or not, you know.
So it's
a coordination.
It's a better recruitment kind of problem of putting the right people in the right positions, you're saying.
Yes, and these people needs to be, you know, enough prepared in order to be in that places and to deliver. Because it comes up to the person. Some people work a lot and other people is like they're not taking enough interest. Let's go one question
back, like people voted for them. So you disagree with, they are not allowed to do whatever they want here to choose their committees. And if they don't have knowledge, they still have the right to work on things that they don't know. I don't know. This is another question, maybe more philosophical.
People vote for you because they believe you can do things for them. There is a moral, ethical, and professional responsibility here. So if they voted to you to deliver, your main job will be, of course, you come here, you decide with your delegation or your group or in which kind of areas can you work or commissions. You have to try to be the best, you know, in the commissions you have chosen or your delegation have helped you to choose or whatever. So yes, you need to work a lot, to work hard and to deliver and try to learn because you have a responsibility in front of these people that have voted for you. You don't take these things for granted. That cannot be because there is a lot already disaffection in politics, you know. So what the people are going to think, then we hear these comments like politicians, you know, that's not okay. You need to show and demonstrate to people.
No, I didn't say that they shouldn't work. I'm just saying that who are you to tell them in what things to work?
Because I understand.
So they are their people to choose on what things.
No, of course they have to choose. I have chosen my why? Because I had that criteria. I have studied international relations. I have worked previously on that. So the logic for me was to be in international relations, AFET, and in international commerce because it was related. Because I'm expert on Middle East.
Let's take one step back. Let's identify how big you think is the problem. Like you think more than half of the MEPs they are in the wrong positions and the wrong delegations?
I'm not saying this.
So
I'm not saying this. I'm saying that the people that are in some delegations need to specialize on that. Because everybody has the right to learn, you know. Once you have chose this, you need to become an expert.
Okay.
But you don't put an expert of this in another issue he doesn't know. For example, let's going to talk about the Cypriot problem. You don't put a guy that is in equality. For example, a commission or a full member here that have never had any relation with to go to a trip to Cyprus to analyze the problem. You know what I mean? It's a matter of efficiency. But that does not mean that people have the right to choose their own commissions, but specialized.
But if this guy wants to go to Cyprus and learn about the Cyprus problem,
yes, but you don't put him to take a political decision.
You don't put him to take
not at least he's specialized.
And who decides when he's specialized?
Well, because this has a monitoring issue. It depends on the times that he will be, full or non-full member of a commission, how long he's working there, in how many reports have been working, how, things like this,
Okay.
Or trips to the area. There are many.
See his CV and see if he's capable.
No, I think everybody is capable if they have interest. Nobody has been born knowing everything. We are all new here. For example, it's the first time I'm in international commerce. I'm learning a lot. I am also shadow reporter on critical raw materials. It's not that I knew this before. I love it and I'm trying to learn and I try to read and I like to specialize myself on that. So as me, many MEPs that are here, everybody has the chance, but I think that you can be provided of the chance of learning and then it's up to the member of the parliament to learn or not, one, and then to the parliament taking these people, to have their specialized trips or whatever when this person is ready to get into that mission. This is what I'm saying.
Okay, we agree.
Thank you. I hope it was clear. I don't know. It's not an easy to explain, maybe.
No, and it's not one problem that we have and I face. Nobody knows about the European Parliament, local politics. They don't know about the EU and how it's functioning, so it's...
And 70% of the legislation that we do here applies to each member state. How crazy is that?
And
people know.
Focus the reverse. Maybe 80% or 90% on local politics instead of EU politics. And the effect of the EU politics in their life is a lot bigger. So that's why we need to change this.
But this is another issue. This is an issue also to blame, we need to understand how important is the European Union, how many things we have achieved. This union was born out of the Second World War. We have achieved many issues, rights for young people, for old people, for, welfare states. We are the envy of the world. We have, the cradle of democracy in the world with our mistakes, with shadows and light, but we are. And we need to say this to our people and we are citizens. Imagine that EU doesn't exist. Imagine that. So we need to talk with young generation. It's very scary to see how the percentage of extreme right and people do not believe in the EU is growing. So I'm feeling in many Eastern European countries, in many young people. Come on, we need to work on that because we are privileged to have this union that is legislating, as just said, for 70% of the laws that then are applied, and in all member states, many rights, all the rights we have is because we have this European Union and people needs to know.
Yeah, I agree. But why do you think but people don't like the European Union? Because, I think I have the sense, but me, I'm pro-European. I say Europe has so many problems, but the project is good. Like we're getting a lot more out of it than without it. So many problems that we can't fix. A lot of things that I disagree. But
what? Like what you disagree, for example?
About whether our policy on Palestine or our policy, maybe there's a disagreement that we have about the war in Ukraine and Russia, that we need to start pushing a bit more for peace and all this stuff. But there is a lot of other things that we are, innovation, business, we can do a lot of things now on AI front, all this stuff. Education, I think it can be improved a lot. So these types of things. I don't know if you disagree with all this stuff.
There's always...
but this is what I mean. There is a lot of problems that we can fix. But overall, the project is good. But my question is, why do you think a lot more people in this country is growing trend to hate the EU?
Well, there is a lot of ignorance, first of all, and there is a lot of unknowledge because you ask any citizens why you don't like the extreme right. All these guys who are criticizing the European Union are here with political parties. So if you criticize the extreme right that criticize the EU are here with their political party. Why they don't leave the EU? You don't believe in the system. Why you want to be part of it? That's
And
completely.
they will tell you that they want to change it from the inside.
No, because they want to explode it, and they want to remove the euro, and they want to that. Just leave because it's stupid and it's not coherent with what you're saying. But certainly, it's a lack of knowledge of what that really means, because you have since Erasmus, which is a great opportunity when you are young,
I
to
agree.
travel.
People
around,
love Erasmus. This is the best project.
Infrastructure, the euro, the many issues and advantages. Green policies.
So you think it's ignorance the
Imagine
answer to this question?
what would happen in Europe without the European funds after COVID. What would happen? This, would recover very quickly. Why? Because the European Union put the funds for each member state, to recover. Imagine we didn't have. This is one example of many. So I mean, European Union, is a shield of security for a member state, and is the greatest achievement we got. And also, we don't kill each other. Europe has been in war, till the Second World War. Sometimes we tend to forget that.
Yes, it's a peace project.
The peace project.
The peace project. I'm not sure if I agree 100% about what you said about COVID, because I'm not sure what you mean the response and how the response, because it was a lot of mistakes also with the the COVID. So I'm not
we
sure.
could recover very quickly because we had European funds in many issues, like for hospitals, infrastructure, for the recovery of the economy, with a lot of projects with people that had to close their business, during COVID. So the capacity of the economic quick recovery of each member state was based also on the money that the EU was giving, with the European funds. In next generation, that's important.
I have another 2-3 last questions.
Yeah,
what do you want to do? You have another 4 years. We're closing in 1 year of our becoming elected and all this stuff. What do you want to do here? What is your
I want
goals
to change the world, but in 4 years it seems a little bit complicated. What would I like to do? How can I humbly contribute? I would like the war in Gaza to end. I would like the recognition of Palestine, with their 67 borders, peace security between Israel and Palestine. I want to strengthen our relationship with the Gulf countries. I would like the European Union to give visa waiver to all these countries because they deserve it and they are reliable partners. I would like our relation to be less paternalistic sometimes to some countries, not only Arab countries, but African countries. I think we need to work a lot with Africa.
I want to stop you, and can you elaborate, please, on the foreign policy of the EU in the Gulf countries? What should be our approach?
Just I am a reporter on Saudi, so I'm working quite a lot in the area. I think we need to, now we are with strategic partnerships on the area, and now that we have opened a bilateral free trade agreement with the UAE. We are talking about other regional agreements. I think we need to strengthen our cooperation and collaboration with the GCC countries. I think they are growing fast. They are reliable. We can work with in anything related, to security, terrorism, and security in general. Trade, which it is very important. We have many people there very interested to come to do tourism to Europe. They invest a lot. I think we need to guarantee more cooperation with them. I really do. This is why I was saying about visa waiver. It's a small detail, but it's big for them, and I think it's important.
We are together. I'm also in the Arab Peninsula delegation that we.
DARP, we are together there.
We are, and you are the vice chairette there.
No, I am full member there.
Full member there. So, what is some things that we can do in the committee, you think, to strengthen the relation? It's just meeting with them and or is that some concrete things that we can strengthen relationships between Arab Peninsula? It's and how do we do it?
First of all, breaking stereotypes. There are a lot of stereotypes what the Gulf is. People doesn't have any idea, and they have a stupid idea have you been in Riyadh? Have you been in Abu Dhabi? Have you been, and they are very modern capitals with huge international important event of UN and many other organizations, or Kuwait, for example. I mean, Qatar. Qatar also is mediating in 10 conflicts right now, by the way. So, I mean, they are growing economies, and not only, I don't like to talk to them about economies, but they are interesting cultures that we need to know more. We have this idea that are retarded, with all the scarves and things like this. This is a very old idea what the GCC countries represent. We need to be more open, less close-minded in our vision to what they represent. For example, Saudi has a very young diplomatic corps service, of women all around the world, or Harvard or Oxford educated, They are very progressive and in this. So, I mean, we need to be more open what the Gulf means. People doesn't know. For me, it's quite surprising, because in technology, in AI, look now, Trump signed the contracts in Saudi for millions on AI.
Billions, not millions.
Billions on AI.
Yeah.
Why we don't talk to them about AI?
Yeah, why to not make a strategic agreement together about?
We are like putting things on the table. We are working on that, but we need to be faster.
But they are very open. I think they are more down to do business and more effective than us. We just talk and we have ideas. They are
we are
more
slow.
Business.
We are slow. I just published an article. I will send it to you. I'm very critical on that. I think leadership means to be quick and to be steady, of course, in our decisions, but we need to take decisions. And if you want to lead, it's true that von der Leyen have run a lot with the issues of trade agreements with UAE, talking with India, South Africa. She's doing good in that sense. But I think we need to be more firmly, doing, trade with the GCC countries. I'm a great supporter on that, definitely.
So we want more trade, more cooperation
and I will give them
on every level, and a visa waiver.
A visa waiver, yes.
It's a good first step forward.
Yeah, the only country that has it is UAE. I will give it to the rest of them. Like, for example, UK have give to some with another name, and the US have given to Qatar, for example. So, we don't do that. We have to be the last of the queue. It's going to be the first one.
Continue with your dream.
Sure. I think that dreams can be reached if you work hard, I'm sure that for you and I am many people that are saying, as when you work hard, some of the things you thought or you dreamed of when you were young are fulfilled. Not all, of course, but some of them. I think it's all about hard job, and things, inshallah, arrive.
But what do you finish your thoughts in what you said you want to see about Palestine and Israel conflict and to establish? You want to work on the strengthening of the relationship of the Gulf countries and the EU. And I stop you to tell us the policy. So finish that.
And Africa and Latin America, for example, it's very important to have fair trade with many countries in Africa. We have the war in Sudan, war in Congo. We need to be there to support and to eliminate our paternalistic view on some of the issues, and our policies there. We support Latin America.
The paternalistic view meaning?
We tend to see the world. Look, we have this
moral superiority kind of.
Sometimes, yeah, we do. Yeah, we don't like to have self-criticism with that. But when you are in the other part of the world, when you see the world from the global south, you see things differently. We need to put ourselves in how the global south is looking at us. That's important. That will help us to understand many things. We are very aggressive with migration policies. I'm completely critical to that. In my country, we have given papers, documentation to irregular migrants. Now they are paying taxes, social security, and we are the fastest growing economy in Europe. But the rest are criticizing migrants only for criticizing, When people are happy and they're working, they are in, and you are an inclusive society, they integrate quickly, they work, they are happy, they don't go to steal, they don't go with terrorist groups, it's a very win-win policies. It is true that we need regular security migration, and we need to invest in the countries of origin, but we need to do that. But what is happening in many countries, in Sahel and the terrorism there and exploitation of resources is not okay.
You've been a minister
Secretary of State.
Secretary of State about this. But I have a question. Like, for me, it's a question of, okay, you don't want everyone. Like, for example, I'm from a country named Cyprus. We have 1 million population. You don't want everyone to come another million from a different country, because then we're going to lose our identity. in a way. I don't know. Maybe you disagree with that. So what is the line? How much is the percentage of that you can receive to a country to be
But
healthy?
you are formulating wrongly the question. Sorry to
What?
say. You are formulating me wrongly the question.
Please correct
Sorry,
me.
the question is, we cannot assume. The thing is that why we should assume if people will be more happy in their countries. Do you think that everybody wants to come here? Many people wants to get back to their countries and they die getting back, like the Syrians in the time of war. Many of them, they try to get back and they die. And many people, when they come to Europe, ask for the voluntary return, a figure that many people do not know. And they have to come back to the humiliated to many of the places that have went out in Africa, and we help them with some helps, what is called a voluntary return, with some projects in order to get back into their countries with a kind of project or something, to begin a new life from the beginning. These people want to return to their countries. And many people, I'm assuring you, they will not leave their countries if they wouldn't have wars, or a woman is raped every 7 minutes, like in Congo, or like in the countries of the hugest humanitarian crisis in the world, like Sudan. No, these people, I've met Sudan
Of course, I agree
before the
with you.
separation of Sudan. And I will tell you something. It was the best country in the world. Sudan is a great country. I was there before the separation, People is great. Sudan is a great country with a great society, with great everything.
But I agree with that.
But
What's
look
your
what now what
problem with me
happened.
phrasing the question? Like, so you think we can receive as much as we can?
No, I don't.
So what is the?
I don't think we would have to receive anyone if we do right policies in Africa. We invest in countries of origin and transit. And people would not like to go out from there. Why people go out from Africa? We exploit in many cases their resources. They have wars, they have terrorism. Of course they want to leave.
I agree with everything that you said. So I'm in the same page. I believe the same stuff that you believe. But the question that I'm asking is like, can we receive as many people as possible? Like, is that going to affect the country? And is there a sweet spot of number? Maybe a 10% of the population should be 1% of the population. You said that I'm framing the question wrongly. So please explain me. And
I will tell you. We need to, instead thinking all the time how many people can we receive, let's go into think how to stabilize the situation how to help, and cooperate to stabilize the situation in the countries of origin. For example, I will tell you. Now that we have stability in Syria, thanks God, after this cruel regime of 53 years of Al-Assad, and now numbers are saying that more than 500,000 refugees from other countries are getting back to Syria, and much more will do before the end of the year. This can happen with Africa also, if we have countries stable. So this is why I'm telling you from the beginning, we have this image that, the dream of Europe, everybody wants to come. This is not true. For many people, Europe is a very weird agency, of countries that for them is difficult because they have their culture. Look, we have a program in Spain, it's called circular migration. It was a very win-win. We bring 17,000 women from Morocco to pick up the fruits and everything, in the southern Spain, 6 months, and then the rest of the 6 months they get back home. So you help them to be promoters of business in their country. They don't lose their culture because they get back to their culture, to their husbands, their families, their everything, but they come here because they win a little bit more money than in their country. So it's a win-win for everybody. For them, it's very hard to leave their country, So we have an image of this, like everybody wants to come because we have no. If they were stable in their countries, they wouldn't do that. And we need to work on this also.
But you are avoiding my question.
That when they come.
So when they come, the question is a different question. So do you think how much we can take as society?
We should
and each country specifically. So I agree with everything that you said, but you're avoiding this part.
Once you have them here, because look, I will do policies in order, because this is what we have done in my country, is to establish a connection, a coordination between the people that come and their skills with the fields of economy that we need them. We have made a match on this in Spain. We have, for example, we know that, and this is a fact, that in many member states, we need a lot of people to work. We are a very old continent. We don't have kids. We are grown very old, and we need a lot of migrants. Everybody recognizes that. But if you let these migrants work in economic fields where the nationals of the member state don't want to work, it will be a very positive issue. For example, nobody wants to work in, petrol stations anymore, or in cafeterias at 5 o'clock in the morning, or in the sea at 5 o'clock in the morning. I saw a group of Senegalese now in northern Galicia last summer because they don't have people anymore that works at 5 o'clock, what we call faenar, in the cold sea at 5 o'clock in the morning. So we don't want migrants, but we don't have nationals that don't want to work in economic field. So, I mean, we are very stupid in how we are addressing migration policies. It's not only about how many people can we have. Okay, we have these people now. We have them. What can I do with them? If we return them to a place they're gonna die, bad. If we don't give them work, we have a black economy. We have these people now. Let's going to work at the same time in secure fluxes of migration, investing in their country of origin so they can have a good life, origin and transit, okay, and secure, because irregular migration means that a lot of mafias will take these people. They will die in the sea trying to come here. Many things that are very bad. Most of the people that I have seen, most of the women were raped before they took, the small ship to come. And the trajectory of these people in Africa in order to get to any route is 5 years minimum, and they treat them like slaves. Yeah. So, I mean, come on. So we need to secure that. And then when we have here people, let's go to see their skills. Let's go to see which are the economic fields they can work with, and they can be positive. Look, the first reglement for the law of migration that we have approved, okay, not the law by itself, what we call the reglement, okay, the application of the law. In the first 6 months, we had more than 9,000 kids under 16 working, which means, and we have demonstrated that they have registered themselves in the Social Security in the first 3 weeks, and all these people are paying taxes and Social Security. This is one of the issues why our economy is growing faster than the rest of the member states. But we are not scared to say this. This is the difference between us, in government, and other right and extreme right people in the government. Why we don't talk openly about how successful is this model?
Okay, I like what you're saying, but I still don't think that you answered my question of what is the percentage, 10%, 20% of the country that can take. So you don't want to get into this conversation.
No, I get. I mean, that depends because, first of all, that cannot be addressed like this. First of all, which are the countries who receive more migration? And now we have a new migration pact. If we have, we need to have solidarity also with other countries. If you receive much more and you cannot have, maybe they can go to another member state that can have, that they need more migrants to work. We need to have a strategy of this.
But what is
of course, Cyprus cannot have 1 million refugees.
What is the sweet spot? Like, is it different to every country? Is it different to every country? This is the sweet spot.
Now we have
1%, 3%, 2% of the population that is able. This is
Phidias. You cannot. This cannot be said like this. You cannot compare Cyprus to France. It's 3,000 times bigger than Cyprus, or Spain to Italy, or Italy to Czech Republic. Or to Germany. That depends on the size of the country, on the type of, unemployment, on the need of work they need, the economic fields they need.
Each situation is different.
Of course, you need to make a strategy and a study on the needs and the people we have and the skills they have and the economic fields you need to have more people to work on. There's going to be logic in this. This is not, no, we have it. Okay, maybe for you, 3,000 is a huge problem, but suddenly German needs 3,000 migrants to work in the sector of car sector, for example. So he's going to see this, the needs, they don't need that. Or maybe this guy wants to return safe home. So we need to see if which kind of work or company, we can promote or help or coordinate in the country of origin in order to give security of job to this. You need an integral strategy of all of this. The pact we have, we are talking about here, migration, but I'm not... I think it has to be improved, sincerely. But
by
still,
the way, sorry for pushing you. I like to have an interesting debate.
Push me. Don't worry. Don't worry.
I find it interesting. I agree with all the stuff.
I will answer everything, so you can ask me anything you want.
We are moving closer to the end of the conversation. I have 2 more questions.
Yalla.
So, how did you find our conversation today?
Very nice. I think that, and I've heard, my colleagues have told me that you have a lot of followers, so I'm sure I'm less modern for that, but I'm trying to get into that because that makes me feel very old. And no, we have to be in this. We have to be in social media to understand how it works and how it's perceived. So I'm very grateful that you came to, that you asked me to have this interview. And I like it because I think that it's important for people to see that many people think different way in this parliament. We do a lot of work and we're trying to improve people's life and we try to fight. And, we really worked. So I'm very bothered when people say, no, these politicians, it's not true. We have to come here for 4 days in the week, but then you come to your national country and then you have a lot of work.
Agree.
So,
a lot of people think a lot of politicians don't work here in the European Parliament. I don't know what you think, but if they are doing the wrong things, it's a different story. They are working. They are working hard here.
No, and then when they work back to the country.
And the people that they don't work, I think is maybe 5%. 10% of the MEPs, which is something that you're going to find in every work space. But the majority of the people, they are working hard, they're coming, they're trying their best, I think. So
I think so. We need to deconstruct the stereotypes. And this is why I think your podcast is nice. I like that you interview many different political figures. I saw that you interview Lopez Isturiz. He's a great friend of mine and he's from EPP. I'm of S&D. He's a great guy. So I think it's important to do these things and that you give a different perspective of the other political groups. I think you should do that because we are very different with different ideas.
And nobody knows about the European politics, so we need to make them popular.
But now, thanks to you, they will know more. So that's okay. That's okay.
One view at a time.
Like they say in Arabic, shwai shwai, slowly, slowly.
So the last question I ask everyone in the podcast, you are going to die in 30 seconds. What if you actually will die in 30 seconds? What you want your last words to be in this planet?
First of all, I would have two things. I will ask God to have mercy on me and I will tell my kids that I love them. This is the last thing I would say.
Thank you guys for watching until the end. We love you. Have an amazing day. Thank you for coming. Bye.
Bye-bye.